What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, and today I'm bringing you a video that I normally don't do. I normally don't bring updates on things like rule changes, anything like that, quarterly announcements from Pokemon TCG, but this one I really just felt the need to bring you guys my opinion or a reaction video on it, just because it's so strange and absurd to me. So first of all, for those of you that don't know, in this most recent quarterly announcement, Pokemon has banned 4 more cards from the expanded format, being Getsis, Hexmaniac, Puzzle of Time, and Wally, which I will get into each of them and why or why not I think they should have been banned. But first of all, let's just start with the topic of banning cards. Now, I originally liked the Pokemon TCG much more than the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, because when a set came out, like when a new set would come out, it was basically guaranteed that if you bought a pack of 10 cards, you would be able to use all 10 and not have to worry about a certain card being banned or limited or something like that. Because with Yu-Gi-Oh!, the most powerful cards are at like limited, semi-limited, or straight up banned, to where you have a whole list of cards like, okay, you can have 2 of this card, you can have 1 of this card, you can't use this card at all, or this card you can have all 3 copies of. So with Pokemon, I liked that it was a lot simpler. It was just like, you know what? You can use, if you pull a card, you basically get to use it. So that's really what I liked about it. It's like, okay, you buy their product, you get to use their product. And, I mean, I get the purpose of a ban list, I really do. Like, I understand that there are certain cards that, like, once it comes out and you see its interaction in the meta, you're just like, okay, that's kind of sort of not what we intended at all, and this has caused an environment that's no longer fun. It's a very centralizing environment where the game is not being played the way it's intended to, etc., etc. But Pokemon really took that to heart and used the ban list effectively with the previous cards that it banned, which were, before this set, Archeops, Forest of Giant Plants, and Lysander's Trump card. Which, okay, all 3 of those bans I actually agree with. Archeops, with the advent of, what was it? It's not Archie's, Maxie's Hidden Ball Trick. There we go. It was Archeops plus Maxie's. You were able to get an Archeops turn 1 and essentially just lock out opponents from being able to evolve their Pokemon, which essentially eliminated the effectivity of a lot of different decks. So, I mean, I can agree with that. Like, do I think that Archeops isn't as broken as things like Forest of Giant Plants or Lysander's Trump card? No, but I do understand that all of a sudden the card was being used not necessarily as intended, and it was being exploited in a way where it was much easier to get out than it originally was. Because with the original Archeops, if you could get that thing out with a fossil card and then evolve it, then good on you. But with Maxie's, you were able to get it out turn 1 and just completely shut down all evolution decks. Forest of Giant Plants, honestly, I think everybody that's played the TCG knows that that was just an absolutely broken card from the get-go, and I don't think anybody really argued with it being banned, just because, I mean, you have combinations with like Vileplume for turn 1 item lock, Decidueye. Like, you could run 2 stage 2 decks and realistically get 2 or 3 of them set up turn 1 with almost no problem if you designed your deck to be able to do that. So yeah, completely broken card. I completely understand why it was banned. And finally, you have Lysander's Trump card, which honestly I'd never played in a format where Lysander's Trump card was actually not banned, but I completely understand why it was banned. Because as much as I hate it, Mill is a realistic strategy in the TCG. I mean, it is a win con. Like, if you deck your opponent out, then you will win the game. And if you build your deck towards that and are able to do that, you will win the game. What Lysander's Trump card essentially did was completely eliminate that win condition. So, I mean, if there's a card that just changes the mechanics of the game, whether, like, that's, I mean, if it eliminates a way of decking out, if it eliminates, like, really, if it just changes the mechanics of the game and eliminates one way to win, like if there is suddenly a card that's like, yeah, you can't take your last prize card, of course that's going to be banned as well. What Lysander's trump card did, while unintended, was eliminate mill as a win condition, and thus that's why it had to get banned. So, I mean, the previous 3 bans, I completely understand, and I actually agree with them, because they did change the game and make it unhealthy to where a certain amount of decks just were not able to function. So, yeah, for that sake, I do agree with the bans. However, I think they've gone overboard with the most recent set of bans with Getsis, Hexmaniac, Puzzle of Time, and Wally. Now, let's go down to the explanations of the cards that were banned and why. So, let me start off with the ones that I agree with. So, Getsis, I can actually understand why that card was banned, just because with all of these search options and ways that you're able to fish out cards, like specifically Tapu Lele being as popular as it is, I mean, it's no longer you're forced to run Jirachi, which is a 90 HP EX, which gives up 2 prizes easily and basically doesn't attack. You now have Tapu Lele that attacks easily, has 170 HP, and searches out supporters. So suddenly, it's less of an opportunity cost to search out Getsis. And Getsis is potentially game-ending turn 1. If your opponent has a lot of items and you go first, you're not only drawing a crap load of cards, but your opponent is being put down to, like, a couple that they can't necessarily use to draw cards. It's basically like, okay, your opponent is forced to either have a Lele, Shaman, or a draw supporter in their hand turn 1, which, for those of you that play Pokemon a lot, that doesn't necessarily happen. I mean, yes, it does happen more often than not, but there is a good amount of times where you just have a handful of, like, items in Pokemon turn 1 that you're planning to use to get your turn going. Getsis being able to just completely destroy that and draw you cards at the same time and essentially win a game turn 1 is what I think makes Getsis quote-unquote broken, to where I can actually agree with this ban. Wally is the next one. It seems kind of fishy to me, just because Wally, I mean, it says Wally enables the Trevenant, the combo with Trevenant, which creates a similar problem, and their overall goal of the expanded format is to have a fun environment where players can enjoy using a wide variety of strategies. Getsis, yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that that created an unhealthy environment with a reliance on items. Wally into Trevenant, which, I mean, to be fair, I haven't really seen it all that much anymore. I mean, I figure that it's kind of fallen out of favor. But, I mean, you know what? If they deemed that that was a broken combo, then I guess I can understand the banning of Wally, but I don't know. Like, if you're going to ban that combination, why not ban Trevenant? But maybe at the same time, they just wanted to ban what enabled the turn 1 item lock, which was Wally. And overall, this ban doesn't really affect me all that much. Like, I never really used Wally in any decks except for Trevenant, so I'm not overly upset about it. But I don't know, just, yeah, Wally into Trevenant. I mean, I guess if you had to ban one of the combo, then Wally would have been the one to ban, maybe, possibly, potentially. I don't know. Either way, I mean, that's just kind of a, okay, I mean, I guess if you think it's that much of a problem, then I can kind of get on board with, if you have to ban one of them, you would ban Wally, because that enables the turn 1, instead of just banning Trevenant, because you can still use Trevenant to, like, evolve into later. So, yeah, sure. Hex Maniac. This is the first card that I am just like, TCG, oh, what? Or Pokemon TCG, what the heck are you doing? Now, before I really get into why I disagree with this, I just want to clarify, I will 100% admit that I do not play the format as much as a lot of pros. I mean, I play a good amount. I play enough to test out decks, get my videos out, and I've been playing long enough to where I feel like I have a good grasp of the format, but I don't play to the extent that players like Tord Rekliv or others of similar caliber who play the format all the time and literally will go hours in a day, go entire weekends simply just playing that format, to where I might not necessarily have a grasp of all that Hex Maniac does to the format per se, in terms of like the turn one donk. well, essentially a turn 1 donk where your opponent really can't do anything and you just win turn 2, which isn't really a donk, but I digress. But I do feel like I have a good grasp of what the card does and what the card does to the format enough to where I can form an opinion about this. And yeah, so I mean, that's ultimately why I disagree. And yeah, the reason I disagree with what is going on with Hex Maniac is because, okay, so with Sun and Moon, they created this whole new mechanic of GXs. GXs are the thing that they want to sell. They are the new EXs. They are the more powerful, more expensive cards that they want you to buy for the decks. But then with Hex Maniac, they're essentially just taking the GX archetype and nerfing it in the expanded format to where things like Hoopa and Ninetales are able to more easily just stop them. Because, I mean, before, if you had a deck that was full of just GX attackers, like if you relied exclusively on GXs to be able to attack, you could easily just run Hex Maniac and you'd be fine. Like, you could shut off Safeguard and you'd be able to knock them out. However, with the banning of Hex Maniac, they are nerfing GXs. So, I mean, it really just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I know what they are going for with the coupling of Getsis and Hex Maniac together, because, I mean, both of those turn 1 are potentially devastating for your opponent, but my thing with Getsis is that it takes cards out of your opponent's hand and lets you draw cards. Hex Maniac does not let you draw cards. It does not take cards out of your opponent's hand. Yes, it eliminates the effectivity of some of the cards in your opponent's hand, but it doesn't just straight up knock cards out of your opponent's hand to where they can't play, and it doesn't just draw you cards like Getsis does to where you're getting advantage on top of locking down abilities. No, it is literally just turning off abilities for a single turn. I mean, I do not get that at all. I think that is a very stupid decision by Pokemon to ban Hex Maniac if they are trying to promote the sale of more of the GXs. All this does is make GX heavy decks more clunky because they are forced to run non-GX or EX attackers in order to be able to deal with Safeguard mons and not just automatically lose to them. I think that that is a very stupid decision. I'm pretty upset about Hex Maniac being banned because I do not think that it is in the same league as Getsis in terms of devastating your opponent. Is Hex Maniac very strong and can potentially shut down strong turn 1s by decks like Decidueye? Well, I guess Decidueye isn't even a thing anymore because Forest of Giant Plants got banned. But, I mean, like, shutting down decks that like to explode turn 1 like Night March, I think that that is just fine. I am okay with Hex Maniac being allowed in the format to prevent decks from just exploding turn 1, but I don't know. I just think that this was a very, very short-sighted decision on Pokemon's part to ban Hex Maniac and just say, well, Getsis and Hex Maniac basically are the same thing and deserve to be banned. No, they're not. Getsis removes cards from your opponent's hand, gives you advantage, and lets you see their hand as well, whereas Hex Maniac just turns off abilities and does not give you any additional cards or take cards away from your opponent. I don't know. I'm mad about this one, but the one that really pushes it over the edge for me is Puzzle of Freaking Time. So I will be the first to admit I don't play the expanded format nearly as much as people that actually like compete in real life, that spend hours and hours a day playing the game, testing out decks, perfecting decks, stuff like that, going to tournaments, blah, 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 trying to qualify for worlds and win worlds. So I can't speak to the level of experience or toxicity that Puzzle of Time necessarily provides to the expanded format. And if they had just said that Puzzle of Time creates an unhealthy environment in combination with some of the cards in the expanded format, then while I might have disagreed personally, I would have been like, you know what? Okay, I mean, I'm not necessarily happy about it, but I can roll with it. However, the explanation they provide is really what irks me. And I mean, keep in mind, this is from the official Pokemon page. I mean, if we go, like, this is the official Pokemon page. Like, this is on there. This is Pokemon's ruling on this. So, Puzzle of Time is a flexible card that can be used in a wide variety of strategies. Its usage rate is quite high in popular decks, and it enables a lot of powerful combos. Removing this card from the environment will affect how many decks are constructed, and which will hopefully make the expanded format feel fresh and different. Excuse me? You just said you're removing Puzzle of Time because its usage rate is quite high, and you want to remove it so that certain decks can't use it. So you want the format to feel fresh and different. You're saying that it's a flexible card that can be used in a wide variety of decks, and that's why you're banning it. That wide variety of strategies wording feels familiar. Where did I just see it? Oh, it's right up here. The overall goal of the expanded format is to have a fun environment where players can enjoy a wide variety of strategies. They literally say that's why they are banning cards like Getsis, Hexmaniac, and Wally, because the goal is to have players enjoy a wide variety of strategies, and Getsis, Hexmaniac, and Wally prevent players from having that ability. However, then you go down to Puzzle of Time, and it's being banned because it can be used in a wide variety of strategies. That, honestly, like, I cannot ration that out. Like, that makes zero sense to me. Like, you are banning 3 cards because they do not contribute to the goal of the format, which is to have players enjoy a wide variety of strategies. But then you take a card that literally lets players enjoy a wide variety of strategies, and they're just like, yeah, well, we want them to enjoy a wide variety of strategies, but not like that. Not like that. We have a different idea. Like, I'm sorry, like, if you had just said Puzzle of Time enables too many unhealthy strategies and creates a centralizing format, then you know what? I could roll with that. Like, I would have been okay with that. But the fact that you literally did not even change the wording. You didn't even change the wording from the reason that you were banning Getsis, Hexmaniac, and Wally, and saying that, okay, these cards are banned because they don't create an environment where you can have a wide variety of strategies, but this card does create an environment where you can have a wide variety of strategies, and so we're banning it. Like, I don't know. I just think that that is one of the stupidest logics I have ever seen in my entire life, and that I don't even understand that. Like, that's just really, really dumb to me. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about these bans in the comment section down below. Like I said, I don't normally do this. This is not my video for the... Well, I guess this is technically my video for the day because this is going up on Friday, and I don't normally do videos on Friday, but I don't know. This was just really stupid. And like I said, with Puzzle of Time, if they had just said something to the effect of, this creates an unhealthy environment, blah, 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 needs to be banned, I could have been like, you know what, okay. But the fact that they use the exact same wording for the reasoning why they banned Getsis, Hexmaniac, and Wally, I cannot get behind that. I think Pokemon really screwed up with this ban list. Like, I can agree with Getsis, I can get behind Wally, but Hexmaniac and Puzzle of Time, I think, were just idiotic bans that I just don't... I don't get it all. I don't understand that, and I very much don't agree with it. Well, for the reasoning they gave. The reasoning they gave, I don't agree with. Because, like I said, if they had given better reasoning for Puzzle of Time, I could have been like, okay, I'm good with that. But anyway, done rambling for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, or at least found a discussion point or something to that effect. And yeah, this is going to be Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.